Friends, welcome to Building a Digital Path to Membership. I'm Peter Bowden. I'm so glad you're here. We're going to be looking at how you, as leaders of a congregation, can really harness the power of your online presence, your online identity, website, social media, wherever your congregation has a presence online. How do we use that to help visitors online, people researching, exploring your congregation? How do you help them discern that your congregation is right for them and to move into relationship and ultimately into membership with your congregation? All right, so we're talking digital strategy, ministry strategy, communication, and membership development. We're going to do it over a number of discrete modules, video segments that you can watch with your leadership one at a time. You can binge watch, but really my hope is that this training is going to help you and your leadership, your staff, come to terms with, all right, what's the digital landscape now? How do we have to welcome people online? What do they need from us? What do we need to tell them? How do we start building a digital path to help them go from where they are with questions, curiosity, wondering if your congregation is right for them, into relationship with your congregation, connected, and ultimately membership, if that's right for you and them, if you're a match. First, if we haven't met, I'm Peter Bowden. I am a trainer and coach working with ministry, media, and membership development. Lifelong Unitarian Universalist, so I work with lots of Unitarian Universalists, but also different nonprofits, leaders from different denominations, just a growing assortment of people bringing more love, joy, justice to the world. So whatever your religious tradition is, I'm glad that you're here. We need congregations today. I strongly believe that it's really in our nature, our DNA, to be not only social beings, but beings who are part of a larger intergenerational community. So being part of a larger community, like in person as much as possible, together in 3D, part of a community, a tribe, a congregation, that is where we thrive as human beings. And so today, the world needs what you have to offer. And so I want to help you through this training really come to terms with where we need to be, start implementing some new strategies, get your leadership on the same page, and get moving. All right? Are you ready? Are you excited? Wherever you are welcome to cry out, say, yes! Oh yeah. Don't scare anyone. But all right, so now we're going to go through a number of different sections. First, this first video, we're going to go a little bit more into how digital culture has changed, what it means for your congregation, and the way people research, explore, and connect with congregations. Next, what do online visitors need from you? Today, people get into a research mode using their smartphone, other devices, and they're trying to make decisions fast because that's just our world today. It's like, I have to make a decision. Is that thing right for me? Is this congregation good? Are we a match? We're doing research quickly, which totally changes the way we do membership development. Next, given visitors are researching your congregation and say they come to feel like, ooh, I think these are my people. I want more of that. I want to get involved. We want to go into what's the best way for you, or the way, at least right now, that you want them to connect with your congregation so that you're offering a clear process. Not come anytime, do whatever you want, but like, hey, if you want to connect with us, this is the way to do it. Next, we need to understand in terms of your online identity, all the places where people can interact with your congregation online, whether you're actively aware or not that they're engaging with you there or learning about you there. We want to make sure you know where's your congregation online, what does that online presence look like, and then start updating it with the kind of content that we'll be talking about in this training so that you can help people be like, oh, yep, this is for me. Off I go, connecting via the process that you recommend. All right, and I have a digital visitor experience self-audit you can use to do that. All right, so later on when we get to that, look for that link. All right, and so that's kind of like, what's your state of digital affairs right now for your congregation online? Is it good? Are you where you need to be? And then you can start implementing the strategies we talk about. And then start building. All right, we want to start building the digital path to membership, giving people the content they need, video, photos, text, the information they need to discern if your congregation is right for them. And so based on kind of your self-audit of your online identity, you can start prioritizing like, all right, these things, this staff person can just take care of that. Click, 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 just get that done. Maybe we need to do some work over here as a membership team, our minister, other leaders might want to work on something else. Collaboratively, you can start listing out the different actions and prioritize and just start improving, strengthening, and building that path. All right, that's what we're doing. Let's get into specifically the first part, which is how digital culture is changing the way people research, explore, and make decisions about congregations. I like to think about it like online dating. So once upon a time, if you wanted to connect with a congregation, what did you have to do? Well, something would spark your interest, you'd see it, you'd hear about it. But if you wanted to know if it was right for you, you had to go into the congregation physically, spend time amongst the people, participate in weekly services, go to programs, groups, talk to people. And there you're like, all right, is this for me? Yes, no? Did it take a week to determine that? Is it one day? Maybe it's months. Who knows? But you spend time among people, right? That's the pre-internet, pre-social media, like where we are experience. Now, when you have a question, or if you see people around you and they have a question, like something comes up in conversation, do people like say, oh, I'll go research that later? Or does everybody grab the phone and like feel like, what's the answer? Ooh, click, 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 look at this, read that, stars, reviews, assess things, watch a video. There's the answer. That's become the norm. People, when there's curiosity, uncertainty, people have hopes. Ooh, is this something that will be good for me in my life? They grab their phone and they research it, they explore, and in that active research mode, they come to make a decision. So what does this mean for your congregation? There are lots of things we can do with social media, have a great online presence, be getting our voice, our message, inspiration, etc. out there to expand your reach and impact in the world. So that's fantastic. But when people are curious, for whatever reason they're curious, whatever sparks their interest, when they are in that mode of like, is this congregation right for me? Do I belong there? Are these my people? We want to make sure that you're providing them the information they want online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, on demand, including video, so that they can make that decision. Because what's happened is the path to membership, all the things that used to happen on site to get people to the point where they're like, yeah, I think these are my people and I want to join. Almost all that content up to the point where people are like, I think these are my people. So what was it? The first half of the path to membership, people want that online. So if you're not offering that to them online, they end up being uncertain. And I say uncertainty leads to anxiety, and anxiety doesn't lead to a visit or trying things out. It leads to Netflix, all right? Leads to doing something else. So we have to give people that information. So the challenge for you is, and all of us working with congregations, is to figure out like, all right, if people, whether we like it or not, are essentially trying to pre-qualify themselves for membership before they get involved, what do they need from us? What do they need from us? And we'll talk about that in our next video. All right, friends, we're working on the digital path to membership for your congregation. This is going to take a little bit of work for your leaders. First, the hardest thing for congregations, I think, to come to terms with is that the way that people used to connect with congregations for a lot of people today, that's just not the way they're doing it. And so as I talk to leaders, I've had people really get emotional, like, I can't believe we've come to the point where, like, we have to give people all this information online before they're gonna come and connect with us. And like, I'm sad. I miss our old world. And yeah, things have changed and it's hard. But one of the exciting things is that we have all these tools from websites, social media, and across them using photos, text, and video to really help people come to understand us, what we're about, what we're working towards, and to find their way into our lives and our hearts. And so that is, I want you to think about as an amazing opportunity that you have as a congregation to essentially to meet with anyone who might potentially be a member of your congregation, a new friend, a partner in the justice work you're doing, to really let them know online through this online content that you can make once, or at least like get a good chunk of content online and have it available so that people day in and day out can be like, I love this congregation. Look at what they're doing. This is amazing. This is what I want for my life. And then to have them come to you essentially pre-qualified for membership. It's amazing, the potential. So I feel that, like, I know the emotion. I've had conversations as I've led different workshops and trainings and guest speaking. So I know, like, there's grief involved in losing our pre-internet norms, right? So yes, but I want you to focus on, we can find the people or help the people who want to be part of our lives, our congregation, who are in line with our mission, who want what we want for the world. We can find them thanks to the internet much more easily than ever before. Amazing tools. And so, grounded in that, what I want you to do as a team, as a leadership, and this can be collaboration across different committees, staff, etc., you really need to start looking at, all right, when we had our offline, like gathering in person, in 3D, membership classes, information sessions, from the moment somebody hears about your religion, your congregation, your leaders, everything about you, what are the questions that people ask all the way up to the point where they're ready to say, yes, I'm ready to join. This is the place for me. I have no more concerns. I know everything I need to know in order to say yes to this congregation. You need to work on that list. How do you do that? Well, I think the best way to do it is watching this video series with your leadership, volunteer leaders, staff, religious professionals, is to make sure that you have some place to compile the questions that come up as you're going about congregational life, services, programs, out in the world doing protests, justice efforts, whatever, online classes. Just know that, like, over this next season, whether it's a few months or a year, whatever your time frame for doing this work, collect the questions. For the people who are part of your core leadership, working on really strengthening your online presence, helping visitors connect with you, helping them be educated, answering their questions, affirming that they're in the right place, like all these things that visitors want to know, you have to catalog those questions. So that's your collaborative task. The nice thing is you can set up a Google document, share it amongst your leadership, all those working on this task, and just start compiling. Just say, all right, there's no editing. Just add questions. As somebody asks you a question, just add it to the list. Maybe you put a date in. You could say, name, like your name, here's the question I was asked, here's the context, the date. And just list that. Now, the beautiful thing about this is once you have a list of these are the things people want to know, you can answer the questions. You can answer these questions. Beautiful thing is today, if you have a great visitor page with the text that answers the majority of these questions in a few paragraphs. I mean, it ends up, as we get into looking at these questions, it ends up being not as much information as you think. So we can kind of catalog it, the questions, organize it, answer those questions. Here's what they want to know about our theology. Here's what they want to know about the children's program. Here's what they want to know about parking. Here's what they want to know about this, etc. Small groups, justice efforts. There we go. And so we can come to the point where we know, like, oh, this is what we need to communicate to people. And beyond the information, this is what people need to feel in order to feel comfortable connecting with our congregation. These are the people they have to meet in order to be like, yeah, your minister, I can see that person as my minister. People working with their children's program, wow, they seem fantastic. And so we can take that information and put it on your website, share it via social media, and continually just put that information through all the channels that we'll look at when we get to the self-audit. Make that content readily available for visitors wherever they land, or make sure that they can find it easily wherever they come into contact with your congregation online. Say they first find you through a map listing on Apple Maps or Google Maps, or maybe it's a Yelp listing, or they're out in the world somewhere and they see a flyer and there's a QR code which links to where? Your visitor page, which is like the hub for all this great information, that they're getting the information they need. They're getting a sense of who your leadership are. So there's kind of like this relational connection that needs to happen. And video is fantastic for that. Video strategy. I'm here when you're ready for that. Okay, so we can take that content and make that available. And so ultimately, for you, your task as leaders are to figure out, for the majority of people who are looking to connect with us, what are the questions that they have? What are the concerns they have? What are their hopes, wants, needs? What anxieties do they have? You know, people will be anxious about something until they're like, oh, that's what that looks like, or this is who the leader is. And so we can just track that, identify that, answer the questions, address the anxiety, help them see that or learn that through congregational life and membership with us. If you're looking for this, we're going to be friends. If you want to work for that in the world, we're doing that. If you're looking for an intergenerational community that values A, B, and C and is working to these ends, this is the place for you. We just want to make it crystal clear for people exploring you online that, like, this is who you are, this is what they can experience, and that they have a sense that, you know, yes, this place is for me. And then when we get to that point, we need to answer the question, all right, if they actually arrive at the point where they're like, yes, I think these people are my people. I think this may be where I want to raise my children. I think my friends might be here. This is the place for me. How do you want them to connect? How do you want them to get involved? Because what's happened is now, as we move the whole path, or a big part of the path to membership online, and get people to the point where they're, all right, I'm pre-qualified for membership. They might not be thinking in those terms, but essentially they are like, all right, I think this is for me. I'm going to get involved. They're at the point where they have really high expectations. They think they're going to like meet, they need to go and verify that, yes, they're in the right place, but then they need to connect, and you need a way to connect them quickly. Like, first visit, how are they going to meet people, have conversations, share their story, meet some other people, and be like, wow, it's happening. This is my spiritual home. This is my religious community. I can see I'm going to make friends here. This is the place for me. How do you do that? You need to offer a specific way. All right, so first, we acknowledge that the internet, digital culture has moved the path to membership online. The good first half of it, I say. People need to know they're in the right place, have their questions answered, make connections with your leaders by watching videos and seeing photos and really engaging with your online content, primarily online and on-demand content, because they may be looking at your congregation at 2 a.m, and then when they're like, yes, I think this place is for me, these are my people, perhaps they need to connect with your congregation somehow. When they get there, they're going to be verifying, like, all right, looked like this was the place for me. Everything looked awesome online. Is that the reality? Let me verify it. So when they show up, they're looking to verify everything that they experienced online in terms of information, the online experience, videos where you explain things. They're like, all right, is it true? And they're looking to connect. They need to connect. People may be like, all right, I'm going to go scope it out, make sure it's right. The thing is, if they don't have some kind of interaction with people when they actually engage live, whether it's a Zoom event, a Zoom service, some program online, or on-site physically in 3D as I like to say, they need to feel like people care. They're explaining a little bit about who they are, sharing their story. There are all these things that need to happen if people are going to feel like, yeah, I thought these were my people, that this is a place for me, that this is a great congregation for my hopes, wants, needs, etc., my family, what have you. And it was fantastic, all right? I don't think people can have they can verify that, all right, this seems pretty good without having real significant interactions with people. But if they're going to come back, we need to deliver on connection, community, and friends as quickly as possible. If you can do it day one, you're in good shape. If you have to wait to their second visit, well, make sure you do it then, all right? So we're talking like very short time frame, people have to connect, which means I believe that you need to help people get into some kind of conversation as quickly as possible with people who are prepared to have conversations with them. So what does that mean? I recommend trying to have people actually RSVP online for some kind of experience, a facilitated first visit, where you know they're coming, and it's going to look a certain way. Whatever you want that first experience to be like, I think you have to decide what that is. Like, what's the best that we can offer newcomers when they say yes to visiting? And on your visitor page, explain that. I think video is great for that. That's what I teach in my strategy trainings. But it can be different things. So I'm in touch with a lot of congregations experimenting with different approaches. Some congregations are, after their service, there's just a social hour with a circle of chairs where you can go and connect. And they say, oh, come to our newcomer cafe, and which is the newcomer space following the service during the social hour, and we'll be expecting you. And people can RSVP for that on the visitor page. Others are signing people up to actually meet up with a buddy, and like someone who's going to meet them at the door and give them a tour and answer their questions, maybe even sit with them during the service if that's what they want. Others, there's some kind of newcomer experience that is on Zoom, not on a Sunday, another time. There are all these different ways, but the main thing is that you are making a decision for how you want to support visitors, what the best way is for you, given your congregation, your programming, your capacity, whether it's a more complicated offering or something very simple, but you're giving people a chance to say, oh, yes, I'm going to get involved, and I'm going to follow their recommended approach so that they know I'm coming. That's why I like RSVPs. And I'm actually going to be talking with the people who are expecting me to come, and we're going to have a positive interaction. So that's very different from people just coming in, wandering in, whenever. Are they going to talk to someone who's expecting them, someone who's friendly? Do they bump into the cranky person or people if you have more than one cranky person? And what's that do to their trajectory to get involved? We want to give them the most positive experience possible. So you may already have a clear process for people to connect. Maybe you don't. As I'm talking to congregations, doing strategy sessions for staff or leadership teams, congregational retreats, one thing that often happens is as we start mapping out all right, what does your path to membership look like? What's your online identity? How are you saying you want people to get involved, or how are people given options to get involved? What does it look like? Very often there's gaps, things don't meet up. These people are doing, say, are responsible for part of the online experience. This committee is doing things in the congregation on site, and they're not coordinating, and people are slipping through the cracks. There's one form to sign up for a digital connection card going to this database, but over here there's an online MailChimp, and they're not actually connecting well. I mean, there are all these things where there can be disconnects. So for your potential new members, it's essential that you get on the same page as leaders and determine, all right, what's our primary way to get involved? What's the thing that we want to recommend as, if you're looking to get involved, if you're ready to connect with us, here's what we recommend you do. And you can give them one clear thing to do. People will do other things. You could say, you may also do A, B, or C. If you want to just come to a worship service, that's fine. If you want to do this, fine. I mean, you don't say fine, but tell them this is the way we recommend. And we have people who are ready to greet you and connect you, answer questions, etc., whatever your process is that you choose. Or you could choose something else. But the main thing is we want to make sure that you're getting the support you need to successfully connect with us. And we believe, I think you can say this, we believe letting us know you're coming and getting you to the right place where there are people who are expecting you and can answer your questions, help you meet other people, facilitate that experience. If you want that, that's the best way. All right, so get a clear, unified, this is our official recommended, not only way, but the featured way, you could say featured way to connect with our congregation. And then we can start doing amazing things like with all the social media and whatnot we have, listings here and there, the website, we can get really focused at promoting that week after week after week. Oh, if you're looking to connect, do this. Questions here, click here to our visitor page, and just keep bringing people in. Like, oh, what's this? There's a digital path leading everyone to our visitor page, the newcomers, where they actually get to sign up to do the thing that is the way that they can get involved in your congregation. But this means once you know the way, once you have your process, we need to look at what's your online identity like? What's the existing digital state of affairs? This, my friends, is our next task. I have a document to help. The next part of our process, my challenge to you, friends, is to do a very simple audit, a self-audit of where your congregation has an online presence, your website, social media channels, other places online, video hosting sites, wherever people who are looking to connect with your congregation, research, explore, and discern if your congregation is right for them. Where can they potentially engage with your congregation and the content you offer them? When I'm talking to congregational staff teams, doing other strategy sessions, very often there'll be an experience where I do some research in advance and I find all these listings for the congregation online that they're not paying attention to at all. They're looking at the congregation's website, primary social media channels. Maybe it's a Facebook and a video hosting site like YouTube, and that's it. Their email newsletter. But they're not thinking about the big picture, which is when someone's curious, they grab their phone and do a search for your congregation. Where are they landing? Like, where are they going when they start searching for you? And today, there's a lot of ways people could find you. They could find you first on YouTube or a map listing or a Yelp review. We really need to make sure you know and claim and control as many of those listings as possible and just have a general understanding that this is where we exist online. And from there, we can be like, all right, this is totally out of date. We can update that. This looks horrible. Tweak that. Oh, we have this great video. We could add that here, 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 and here, and really start taking your desired communication, the way you want to present yourself to the world, you're actively putting it everywhere somebody might engage with you, and the specific way you want people to connect with your congregation, that invitation or featured way. It's like, oh, first time visitor, do this. Here, come to this page, sign up or RSVP to do this, connect with that event. You're making those opportunities clear throughout these channels. So I want you to check out the Google spreadsheet linked around this video. And I'm just going to go through a few of the things on here. What I'd like you to do with your team, you could do this individually and compare notes, or you could have a time when you get together in a meeting and share the document and work together to fill things in. But if you open the document, the first thing you'll want to do is, and this document is my digital visitor experience self-audit for congregations. So once you open the document, you're going to want to save a copy of it for yourself. So you'll see a link, how to save your own copy of this document. If you click that, it's going to take you to a tab with some instructions. But while we're here together, just go to the File menu under the Google Sheet and then choose Make a Copy. And what that will do is take this document and make your own copy in your Google Drive that you can work with. And so it won't be my copy that you're just a viewer on. You'll be able to enter information into it. So what I want you to do is gather with others that you're working with, staff, other volunteers, whomever is part of this effort to strengthen your membership development efforts. And I want you to go through and list every single place your congregation exists online. So just going through the list here, there's obviously your website. So you want to list your website and you can put in the link. So you want to create a document where anyone can easily go down, click the links, and check all these things. It's kind of like if you're at a hotel, you'll see in the bathroom that there's a thing where it says, all right, this bathroom was cleaned here on this date. Well, we want every place you're online, we want you to easily have someone look down a document, click, and check, like, all right, we've updated this. Oh, it's been 2 years since we've looked at our Yelp review. We better check that out, and just have a document where you have a comprehensive list of where your congregation exists online. You can track what the real focus of that site is, the mission. You can note who's controlling that, note when it was last reviewed, how fresh is it? Is it looking good? And a few other things, and just get a general catalog of your online identity. Once you have that, that's going to be a really valuable resource, because people who are participating in different aspects of congregational life, ministry, leadership, staffing, they'll be able to reference that. And especially if there's turnover, you won't be forgetting that this exists or that, and it will just help you prioritize making sure that all of these listings, all of these spaces where you exist, whether it's something that's kind of static, like a web page, or something that's more as a feed, like a social media profile, that you're checking on that. One of the things I recommend doing once you go through this is periodically you can do a little mini audit where you might pick a single question or a series of questions, and you go through and see how do all of those communication channels measure up against that question. So for example, you have a new minister, and you want to make sure that that person is listed, and there's photos of them on these different sites. You let people know you have a new minister, and maybe you have a video introducing your new minister, and you want to make sure that you've shared it everywhere. So you could go down through this list of all the different places where your congregation exists, and for that little mini audit, which is, can people tell that we have a new minister? And can they see a photo and a video of our new minister in all of these places? Then you can go through and just do that specific kind of mini audit check. So let's look a little bit at some of the places where you might have a listing. So there's your website. You do want to break out some of the key pages that visitors will most likely be checking out, just so as you're doing your updates periodically, you can check them. So, all right, is the main page, our visitor page, religious education, like whatever the main pages you think that visitors are attending to, put that on your list so that as you're doing your periodic check, making sure everything's fresh and up to date and representing you well and your visitor experience, that's listed. Beyond that, let's go on to social media channels. List your Facebook page, groups. What groups exist? Is there one Facebook group? Do you have multiple groups? Want to list those. Twitter, Instagram, any social media channels you have, list those and put the direct link to that profile. So we want it so that under the URL column, anyone looking at this document can just click and go to it. All right. So if, say my Twitter account is at Peter Bowden Live, so I'd put in the link http://www.twitter.com/Peter Bowden Live, so that there'd be an active link there. That's very helpful when you're working with these documents over time, just being able to click, reference, and do quick checks. YouTube, do you have a YouTube account? Vimeo, wherever you have videos, we want to list that. Podcast. What about other social media channels? Sometimes ministers have separate pages, like a Facebook page. There are periodic times when congregations have rogue accounts, like somebody started a page that wasn't official and it kind of exists and are still being used, and we want to track those things. Moving on, very important, local map listings. When people are going about physical space, they see your congregation and they're like, oh, what's that congregation? Or they're in the area, they might see you and your listing might pop up as something nearby. Say I'm searching for something in the area. There are times when your congregation might pop up when I'm looking for something right nearby. You want to make sure that your listing on Google Maps, Apple Maps, any other map that you find that people are using in your congregation, that listing, you've claimed it. So you visit Apple Maps and see that your business has been claimed. You click claim it, and then you can start adding content. Yelp, you want to make sure Yelp is something that you have control of, because Yelp is a primary site that many people use to check out local businesses. And photos from Yelp, as of this recording right now, get fed into your Apple map listing. So recently, a congregation I'm starting to do some video work with, I checked their Apple map listing, did not have fresh pictures of the minister. It was all old, like 2-3 ministers back, the content. I had some photos from our work, so I immediately, right then, shared some photos related to what the congregation is like right now, and a 5-star review and a little comment. Within a month, I got an email from Google reviews, or Google saying, my photos had 3,000 views. A photo I put as just a user on Google. I reviewed the congregation, put that content, and it's getting thousands of views. Amazing. So you want to make sure you're just every single place. Get the URL and have it in your list so that you can check, right? How does this represent us? Now, you might want to do a Google search for your congregation or other web search and see what other listings you can find. There might be things that you don't know about. Maybe your town or area has some kind of local listings for businesses, organizations in the area, and there's a listing for your congregation that's actually something people look at quite a bit. And if you know about it, you could send them some updates. Also, the person controlling your website, if you're able to check how people are coming to your website, so if you have, say, Google Analytics on your website, there are ways you can see, all right, what websites are sending people to our primary website, and that's a great source of where your congregation might have an online identity. Now, beyond the online identity, I also want you to note, where is there communication, like signs, etc., around your congregation outside? Wayside pulpit, the sign for your congregation, banners, other outdoor signage. Why does this have anything to do with a digital visitor experience? Well, when people are outside, when they see a sign, And I've seen this in action. Say someone's outside a congregation that I'm visiting or doing work with, and there's a Black Lives Matter or other sign. I'll see people smiling, like, oh, there's a pride flag. And they're taking a photo of that banner. It communicates something to them. So they're kind of engaging with the congregation. And those signs, that communication, those are places where we can kind of take charge a little bit of the digital experience. So note where you have outdoor signage and consider, could you put a QR code and an invitation to check out a video, to go to your visitor page, to sign up for your email, or just go to your congregation's website? There's real opportunity in that. QR codes are mainstream now. So looking at your exterior signage around your congregation, and just be mindful, like, ooh, knowing that people, when they're curious, grab their phone and do a search. Are there things we can do in our physical environment around the church, the congregation, to support and really take charge of that digital path to membership, sending them to the right page, say, that you want? So congregation in my area, they're doing a new banner for something, and I said, ooh, it would be really good to put a QR code, and since the page you're linking to has a video on it, put a little video icon next to the QR code so that people looking at the banner see, oh, not only is there a QR code, but it's linking to a video. So huge potential. And then last, inside, just as the signage outside, there's an opportunity to maybe prompt people to visit a website, use a QR code, scan a QR code. There are people coming into our congregations for all sorts of reasons. Maybe they're attending a wedding, a funeral, a special event, using the restroom, dropping something off, whatever it is. How might we take the signage, the places that are kind of communicating who we are, what we're about, bulletin boards, digital screens, welcome table, etc., brochure racks, and think about how might we integrate that with our digital path to membership? So again, is there a sign that prompts people to scan a QR code to sign up for our newsletter, or just adding websites to make it easy for people to say, like, oh, if I want to get involved, here's the link to do it. Like, I could take a brochure, but there's an opportunity to scan something, go to a website right then and there, and start getting involved. All right, so wherever your congregation exists, online, and then also some of the offline, like physical signage, we really want to be able to catalog all that, get it on this document so that collectively your leaders can be like, all right, here's where we're communicating with visitors. Once you have this mapped out and realizing, all right, here's where we exist, maps, Yelp, etc., these different listings, then you can start doing the really important work of making sure that the content, the information, the messages that represent you, and they're going to speak to the potential new members of your congregation, that you're bringing that content everywhere that your congregation exists online. And that is the next step. Once you have this all mapped out, cataloged, you know where your congregation exists online, you can start working to actively strengthen and build or rebuild that digital path to membership and bring the messages, the content, the invitations that you want to people wherever they find your congregation online, and really welcome them into the life and heart of your congregation.